Palantir's earnings are just around the corner in about a week, but the news doesn't stop. So, looking at the stock first, Palantir, we got a little pressure on the brakes actually this week. Nothing huge in my opinion, though, personally, considering where we are today, still sitting down a few bucks below the $29 range. But obviously, everyone's got their 2 cents, especially on their time frame and cost basis. So, we'll see how Palantir tees up, though, for the following week in preparation for earnings on August 5th. Now, starting off the week on chat activation topic here, politics. The Financial Times published an article about Silicon Valley and what is being seen as some maybe warming up to the Republican side. Now, the main focus for this, though, is that Palantir CEO Alex Karp had some quotes making it into the piece, and they did get a big reaction. And for any long-term investors, though, this is not a surprise at all or anything out from left field. Alex Karp has been open about his beliefs and left-leaning principles, especially when it comes to social programs and certain perspectives on the interpretation of what freedom rights entail. But honestly, you can make the argument he's probably more moderate in today's polarizing environment, especially for the United States side of politics, from both the right and left side having their shared comedic issues where honestly most people just care and they're just in the middle of something else that pertains to their lives. And in my opinion, it's pretty obvious Karp's benefits either way. Now, the one trigger quote, though, was basically saying he is voting against Donald Trump. And at the time of publication, Biden was still in the running, but did change a few days later to obviously stepping down. So it wasn't some endorsement of the Democratic candidate at the time, but rather a vote not to have a Republican president. So from my brief view here, I care more about his words and actions pertaining to the performance of the company and how to improve it. And honestly, it seems Palantir has been pretty immune no matter which administration it is to land US government contracts. Maybe they'll get a slight head or tailwind depending on the administration, but that doesn't stop the government's reliance, honestly, to just get things done no matter who is in office, which speaks more loudly about Palantir's products and work ethic. So go at it in the comments. My daily video covering this had the most amount of comments ever, and this is without any bots or those scam ones I try to report, so I leave everything else up for yours and my own entertainment. Now, we also get a nice screenshot of Palantir ensuring to their customers there was no effect from the CrowdStrike outage as well as the Snowflake breach that happened earlier. So I love to see this stuff because it came out basically when the incidents happened. And of course, with your customer, you want to know this as soon as possible. And it's not to say it's impossible for Palantir to be affected by these kind of events because it's a real business and technical risk that they even put into their earnings here as a warning, since they are working with vendors and they're intermingling, even if not directly responsible, and can still rope in Palantir down the line as a possibility. So keep up the good work, Palantir, and focusing on security and safety of your customers. Then we get an eyebrow-raising press release from LifeWallet, or the stock MSP recovery. Essentially, they said their clearinghouse version 1 is built on top of Palantir's Foundry and is ready. We don't really get anything else, but essentially they're a tiny penny stock at this point, which has gone down into oblivion if you've seen their long-term results. And for Palantir investors, this is inconsequential, and I just don't care about it either myself personally. But it might have been a move to help their penny stock to get some short-term price action movement, where you see the blip here right at the after hours of the announcement. MSP recovery actually flew up more than 80% on the news, but as you can see, things have gone back down to the baseline before the news was even released. So this is more of a side story where Palantir got roped into the PR, but it's pretty interesting to see some of these kind of companies try to leverage those relationships since they do technically exist, but who knows how this will be long-term for them. And then also talking about penny stocks, Palantir continues to sell down their ownership stake of Rubicon with a few more sales disclosed in their latest SEC filing. And it's a negligible amount here, so it's not that many dollars, and might as well liquidate it considering this is how Palantir can get paid by a cash-strapped company like them. And this also may sound familiar from last week, but we got David Glazer's Form 4 for the sell transactions that I already covered, where he offloaded 90,000 shares. But interestingly, with the Form 4, we get a bit more details on the origin of the shares, where he exercised some options at the $4.72 price point. So obviously immediately turned around and sold these for a profit, worth the difference in price at a little over $29 that he got. With hindsight, this looks to be pretty good market timing in the short term, but this is part of his trading plan and continues to hold around 298,000 shares, so do what you want with this information. I'm just looking to see how the post-earnings transactions stack up. Then we get a couple demos from Palantir posted on their developer channel. First, with the crowd favorite Chad presenting AIP for piping and instrumentation diagram, or P and ID analysis, as well as Nicole presenting build with AIP customer service engine, which we have seen some related material before. So these are both posted on the developers channel as mentioned, so check them out to get more product insights. Then, with only a week out, we get the Palantir investor questions cooked up. Now, I made an almost 10-minute video giving my raw thoughts on all the top 10 questions. You can go check it out if you'd like. And for the weekly video, though, the majority of the attention and even overlap for many of the questions is that what Palantir is doing for growth and what are they expecting. Honestly, this will probably be already naturally answered through their normal earnings talking points, like the things they're doing with bootcamps, AIP Now, Build with Palantir, AIP Con, all those things and more. So I think people are most curious about new stuff that is brewing that we haven't heard about from management, and of course helps to expect drive growth and eventually fly into the financials officially on the record. And not just what they are doing to drive growth, but what is the growth going to look like? Will it be exponential from the top question here? How long is it going to take? Like, is it the next 5 years or 2030? What's it going to look like? And what's the goals? The main theme is pretty obvious that retail investors, or at least the ones who participate in this, want some guidance on longer term growth outside of the typical guidance we've seen for the next quarter and full year of 2024. Now, if that's even possible or practical to give is another story. And honestly, I kind of teeter the line here if management should even do that stuff or how specific they get. But we'll see what management decides to do and how specific they want to do themselves. And I'm sure at least at one point, interesting things will come up. And this isn't the earnings preview yet video. I'll make a separate video of that where we'll go over last quarter's performance and what I'm looking for in a week numbers wise. But I think personally, the sentiment has been pretty consistent the last several earnings. Where and when will we see the growth, and how is Palantir going to do that? I believe Palantir has done a good job in communicating on the things they are doing to possibly drive growth, like the big list of initiatives that I already talked about, getting their product into existing and new customer hands, from bootcamps to also developers that could potentially build new companies or just to get experience with Palantir for free until they need to upgrade a bit for the next tier or get ready for a job that's using it. These are big steps for the company, in my opinion. If you look only a couple years ago, even before AIP, you basically just had to interact with Palantir formally to get your hands on the software. But now it's as easy as making an account at home and being in a region that allows it. Now, the other part of the equation, where and when will we see growth, is still brewing. We get the nice growth seen from US commercials sometimes, we get a surprise with government revenue, but even if we see a supercharging of this still remains to be seen. And customer counts have been ticking upwards, of course, but not to the quote-unquote exponential levels yet. But who knows, maybe this next quarter with some time and, bring this up, have an unexpected surprise, hopefully in a positive way. But this sentiment feels more and more important as we reached a price point where folks have some clues about the incoming growth and how fast and if it justifies this where we are today. But we'll just see what happens in about a week. Do you think earnings will meet expectations, exceed them, or possibly fall short? Let me know your thoughts below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.